for Black History Month. Each week I said I wanted to introduce you to some new friends, to learn about somebody that maybe you didn't know very much about before, or some people said they'd never heard of. Our first person that we learned about the first Sunday of Black History Month. So here's a little pop quiz. Here's what he said. This is one of my favorite quotes among many. This person said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive. And go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." So pop quiz, who said that? Howard Thurman. No, George Washington Carver was last. Reverend Howard Thurman. And so today, for our speaker, we have someone that is not a stranger to our community. Is someone that's a good friend that we know pretty well, but I feel like every time he speaks, we get to know him even better. Brother Sam Radford, maybe is an important community leader, a wise elder, a spiritual teacher, a good friend to our ministry. And to me, he's an example of someone who's discovered what makes him come alive, and he's going and doing it. And I think part of that is hopefully being here with us today. So welcome, Brother Sam.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So again, good morning, everybody. Oh, come on, y'all. We could do better than that. Good morning, everybody. There we go. Isn't it a good morning? I mean, we happy to be here. Let's get some energy. Let's let the Spirit move. Let me say this. First and foremost, let me just give a thank you to Reverend Mary and the whole Unity family just for the constant invitations to be here and be part of this wonderful fellowship. I want to give a special thank you to Sister Caron. Because it was many years ago now, she invited me, made the connection for me to be the Black History Month speaker, and here we are. And I don't want to take that for granted. She's such an important presence in our community, and making those kind of connections is one of the special things she brings. And it's important to have people like that in the community that connect everybody. Most of you know that before I speak, there are three things I like to do. The first thing I like to do is acknowledge the presence of a true and living God. And not just acknowledge that presence, but to acknowledge that presence in each and every one of us. And ask each and every one of us if we can connect to the presence of God right now. And begin to blend with each other in a sense. Scripture says, where two or three gather in my name, I'm in the midst of you. And so we want to bring God in our midst. The other thing I do is I acknowledge the presence of our ancestors. In the African tradition, we believe that every one of our ancestors contribute to us being here in this moment. That the very blood in our body, the genes in our body, communicate something to us, and that they are with us. And so we acknowledge our ancestors. But one of the most important things that we do in the African tradition is we acknowledge elders. We acknowledge elders as living libraries. The importance of conversation with our elders, the importance of spending time with our elders. So if you're a person that considers yourself an elder in this community, by age definition, that means you're over 57 years old. Please stand. If you're an elder, please stand. If you're an elder, please stand. All right. So, all of you living libraries, it's important. Stay standing. It's really important. This is a really important part of what we do. Because one, you know what I'm saying, is important for people in the room as well as people who might be watching on the live stream to know who those living libraries are, to see you and to know that a conversation with you can give them an understanding of how we got here. Everything you're gonna find ain't in a book. Sometimes it's in the lives of the people that were here before you got here. So you need to know who they are, acknowledge who they are, and honor and respect who they are. And so in the African tradition, we do that by requesting permission. We don't dare speak in front of elders if elders are present without their permission. So elders, permission to speak. Thank you. Please be seated. All right. So with the permission for the elders to speak, another thing that we do, I'm going to see who remembers. In the African tradition, we have something called hotep. Anybody ever heard the word hotep? Y'all remember what it means? There you go, right? Exactly. Hotep is unshakable inner peace, right? And it's so important for us in the African tradition to acknowledge the inner world. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about this later. To acknowledge this inner world that we all have and to connect to it. So we are here in the outer world, but from the inner world, we see the outer world. So I want everybody, if they can, take a moment and connect to their inner world. The inner world in the African tradition is made up is where our thoughts and our feelings reside. But there's the further world you can go in, a further realm you can go in is called the innermost world. It's a world beyond thought and feeling. It's a world of hetep. It's a world of connection that makes us all one. It's the world where we can see and connect, but it's beyond our thoughts and our feelings, but it can embrace the thought and the feeling, as well as the outer world, the feelings and the sensations. So I want everybody, if you will, to, and I know that the unity tradition is to create this energy, the presence of this energy right from the moment we begin. And so I'm acknowledging that. But just also sharing another way to travel that path. So acknowledging the presence of unshakable inner peace. Acknowledging that presence in each and every one of us. And now blending with one another to create a space of unshakable inner peace where the divine can move and have expression through all of us. Ashe. So I am so excited about today's lesson. Today's exchange, I call it an exchange with you. It's called Your Attention Please. Where you heard that at? Your attention please. Where have you heard that at before? At school. Your attention please. I spent 5 years in the Marine Corps in the military. The first command they teach you in the Marine Corps or the military, anybody know the first command they teach you? Attention! That's what that first thing, they want you to, the first thing is about getting your attention. That's what it's about. And so today's lesson is called Your Attention Please. The first thing is, the first reason why we want to do Your Attention Please, and I'm gonna come grab this mic because I'm gonna move around. Is it turned on? I'm gonna turn it on. Okay, good. The reason why we start off with getting your attention is because in order for us to have an effective and meaningful exchange today, the first requirement is for all of us to be here. So the question is it possible for your body to be here and you not be here? Wait a minute. Y'all see how quickly y'all said, oh, yes. How is that? How can your body be here and you not be here? So when you go to sleep, where are you at? Somewhere, though. Your attention is not here. Your attention is somewhere else. What's another way? Why is it, how that you can be here physically, but not be here? You could be in your thoughts. Okay, wait a minute now. If you're in your thoughts, are you here? Yeah, this is an interesting. Okay, now y'all gotta help me now. Y'all gotta help me understand. If your body is here, and your thoughts are somewhere else, and you're with your thoughts, which one is you? Which one of those are you? You are your thoughts? Yes, I am not my body. You're not your body. So you are your thoughts. You're your thoughts and your feelings. You're your spirit. You see where we're traveling at now? See, now what we're getting at is where our attention is at, okay? See, our attention ain't on our body. We talked about that, the outer world. Our attention is on our thoughts and our feelings, because I can't see your thoughts and feelings necessarily, but I can see your body. So you're saying, are we really our thoughts? Actually, even this question, are our thoughts ours? Are our feelings actually ours? It's a question. I remember one of my elders taught me once. He said, you think you have an opinion, but the truth of the matter is the opinion has you. Brother, I didn't know what he meant when he first said that. But over a while, I learned that these thoughts I was having came from somewhere. I didn't generate them. You know, these were taught to me. You know what I'm saying? They came from somewhere. This challenge I have about getting everybody here is usually a part that in communication we skip. We skip the verification that we are all actually here. And we just start talking at each other, talking around each other, pretending like because your body is here, you are here. But the truth of the matter is the optimum exchange that we're going to have between us is going to happen if we can get everybody here, or at least get as many people here as possible, which means there's a struggle going on right now. There's a battle going on right now for your attention. See, something else wants your attention. What you got to do when you leave here wants your attention. Something that happened to you before you got here wants your attention. Something that you got to think through wants your attention. Something I'm saying has gotten your attention, and you're off thinking about that right now. The ability to be here and to stay here, to collect your attention and bring it into the present moment, is the battle of life. Because our attention is pulled in so many directions, constantly pulled in thoughts, constantly pulled in memories. Some of us have attention that's trapped in trauma from childhood. It's right there, right now, holding on to it. Some of us have our attention trapped in anxiety about what's going to happen in the future. Not here, because your attention is on how am I going to take care of things tomorrow. The challenge is, can we, for a few moments, let tomorrow take care of tomorrow? Let later today take care of later today. Let the fact that we survived the trauma of childhood, we survived all of what happened before we got here, let that take care of itself. And us trust in a force that is right here with us right now. And can we just let go of everything and come into this moment? This is a question. And it's much easier said than done. Because the minute you try to come here, feel your feet on the floor. Feel the air on your face. Be with the breath. Just be here. It requires a conscious effort. And to maintain it is a whole nother thing. Because the minute you get here, what does the thoughts do? I got something for you to think. What does the feelings do? Wait a minute, y'all. I got something for you to feel. It's this battle for our attention. So I do an exercise, the same one every time. I don't change it. I do the same one every time because that's how, hopefully, our attention, if we can collect our attention, over time you will get it. This is how we learn our name. You don't learn your name the first time they tell it to you, do you? They keep repeating it over and over and over. And at some point, they say, Sam, Sam, Sam. They call me that from the outside, but then one day what happens? I say, I'm Sam. Because it's been repeated so much from the outside, right? So I'm using this exercise because this exercise is the test to see if you're here. Just to see if we're here. But it also is a test of our attention. Is it possible for you to hear me and not listen to me? Y'all say yes so quick. Let's get, how is it that you can hear me but not listen to me? How's that possible? Huh? You said the volume? Volume.
Level decibels of your voice are overpowering all other sounds in this room.
Oh, wow, okay, got you. So that's definitely the hearing part, right?
Yeah.
So how can you hear me but not listen to me? I can hear the sounds, but I'm not actually listening to the words. It's going in one ear and out the other ear. What is it that actually causes it to go in one ear and out the other ear? Assuming what I say. Woo, that's a good one. We're going to get into that one a little bit later. I don't know how deep, but that's a good point. I mean, one of my favorite parts of this presentation is that thing, assuming what people say, thinking you know something. See, thinking you know something makes you stop listening, right? So that's a good point, right? How is it that you can hear me but not listen to me? Because ultimately, you are not giving me your attention. You are where your attention is at. That's where you're at. If your attention is not here with your body, it's not here in exchange with me, you have a divided attention. Part of it's here, part of it's there. And it's that divided attention that keeps us from being able to experience the fullness of who we are. So the question is, can we fully become present? What prevents us from fully being present? Our mind wanders. Why does our mind wander? Bored. It's lost. Why does our mind wander? It's in nature. What keeps us from fully being and staying present? Woo. Say that nice and loud. Listening requires an intention. You have to make a conscious effort to do it. You actually have to pay attention. You really do. And the minute you stop paying attention, wherever you decide to pay attention to, that's where your attention goes. Your attention is connected to your awareness. Your awareness stays present, but your attention now moves. And the question is, can you get your attention? Can we collect our attention and get it to be present? A lot of the life of Christ was about this conversation about trusting in the Creator, knowing for sure that the Creator is the creator of all things. The Creator is present right now. You don't have to worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Knowing that the Creator knows all things, including the number of hairs on your head. Knowing that the Creator is all-powerful. Everything that's in creation comes from the Creator. The Creator is more powerful than the creation. But our attention don't necessarily trust that. I got to do something to prepare for tomorrow. I got to do something to overcome. And so our challenge is, can we trust God enough to just come into the moment and trust that the presence of God in all of us has the capability of meeting the need of all of us? Y'all think we got that kind of trust? Working on it. So here's the test. Let's work on getting you here first. See, keep working with this idea of getting you here. Listening is the beginning of it. You have to intentionally listen. You have to be willing to sacrifice the thought when it comes. You know how we in meditation, when a thought comes, what do? Do we let it pull us away? Do we get identified with it? We let the thought come, then what do? Let it go. Thoughts are going to come. Come, let it go. The feeling come. Let it go. So we can do what? So we can stay present. And over time, after you practice that, the presence is stronger than the thought. The presence is stronger than the feeling. The presence is really, our attention is in the presence. So this is about getting our attention with the presence collectively. All of us at the same time, trusting in the presence. Now, I'm going to go get some people, all right? I'm going to help you see how difficult it is to listen, but at the same time, how easy it is to listen. If you can relax, take the tension out of your body, because the tension in your body is an indication of what? You're trying to hold on to something. Let it go. You're in a safe place. God is here. You don't have to hold that tension in your body. Just relax. We're just going to talk. We're going to exchange. We're going to all try to exchange from the presence of God within us. I'm going to tell you a story, quick story. I told it to you, this is probably maybe the 9th or 10th year that I've been here. Has it been that long? About 8, 9 years somewhere? So you know the story, some of you. Some of you are here for the first time, maybe. You don't know the story. But we're going to bring you into the group. You know what I'm saying? So you know the story too. All right? So the story is a test of your ability to listen to me. So what I want you to do is come fully present and listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to tell a story. If you know the correct answer, I want you to raise your hand. What do you do if you know the correct answer? Do you say it out loud? The impulse may come up to say it out loud, But if you're fully present, I want you to kind of override that impulse. So they come up and go, and just simply raise your hand, okay? All right. Here's the story. Johnny's mother has 3 children. The first child's name is Nicole. The second child's name is Penny. For all of you who've been here before, and I know you know the answer, and for those who are listening to me, raise your hand if you know the name of the third child. Okay. So, of the people raising their hand who know the name of the third child, how many of you are here for the first time? How many of you didn't hear this before? Okay, so only the people who've heard it before. So you never heard this story before, but you know the name of the third child. Don't say it, but you know it. Okay, come here. Okay, well, that's all right. This in my ears. Okay, good. All right. So now, this is what I want you to do, okay? What I want you to do is, people who are listening to me, right? But you know for sure, I did not say the name of the third child. You don't know the name of the third child. Raise your hand if you do not know the name of the third child. Okay. Come here. Come on. Now, all I want you to do is tell me the story we just told about how long ago? 2 minutes ago. All right, let's do the story. Okay? Remember it? Johnny's mother has 3 children. The first child name is what? Nicole is the first child. The second child name is Penny. And do you know the name? Don't say it. Do you know the name of the third child? What do you think? Okay, go ahead. Thank you. So she said the name of the third child is Dime. Okay? Now, here we go, everybody. Our goal is to get everybody to be here listening to the story I just said. Now, did I tell everybody the name of all 3 children, yes or no? Yes. Okay? Now, listen to this, right? Listen to how powerful this is. Tell me your name. Liz knows the name of all 3 children. But Liz don't know that she knows the name of all 3 children. Now, let me ask this question. Is Liz know something, but she don't know that she knows? Do she know? Who said yes? How is it that if Liz knows something, but she don't know that she knows, how is it that she knows?
I think she knows deeply inside. She just hasn't gotten to her brain.
Ooh, see,
And then she said the whole thing, so she said the name, but she didn't realize it.
Yeah, so the name is with her. The name is with her. But she hasn't connected it because her attention is divided. She has to collect her attention to get it. But it's there. It's in there. Here's the proof. You got $1 million in the bank and you don't know it. How much do you got in the bank? If you got $1 million in the bank and you don't know it, how much do you got in the bank? You got $1 million in the bank. Because you don't know it don't mean it ain't there. It just means your attention is not aware that it's there. But that don't change the fact that it's there. Because your attention is not on the presence of God, don't mean God ain't there. Just mean your attention is not acknowledging that presence. Now, did I tell Liz the name of all 3 children? I sure did. Liz heard the name of all 3 children. We're going to help Liz out and everybody else who was, because you got to go to another listening level. You got to get your attention away from this. What do this got to do with the story? Nothing to do with the story at all. I could have told the whole story without the nickel, dime, or the penny, couldn't I? But your attention gets drawn to the nickel because I said Nicole. I don't need the nickel to say Nicole. Your attention gets drawn to the penny. I could have just said penny. I didn't need the penny to say penny. But then because the pattern of Nicole dying, her attention is no longer paying attention on what's there with her, which is the answer. It's in there. Because now her attention is out here, trying to make this make sense. It got to do something with that dime, I know. Diamond, Dimona, or something. He ain't showing me that dime for no reason. It's a reason why he's showing me the dime. But the truth of the matter is, in terms of the number, which word out of my mouth, don't say the word, but which word out of my mouth was the correct answer? The first word out of my mouth in a listening test was the correct answer. Johnny's mother has 3 children. The first child name is what? Nicole. The second child name is Penny. What is the name of the third child? No, is it tricking involved in there? Is there a trick? No trick. It's just a listening test. If you're listening, you put all that together. But listening is much more difficult than we realize. Because in order for us to listen to people, it requires our full presence. It's very rare that we actually give people our full presence. Generally, when people are talking to us, what are we doing? Our attention is halfway on what they're talking about sometimes, but our attention is not fully present. When you're listening to somebody, what is the requirement to fully listen to somebody? Can you multitask and listen to somebody? Come on, y'all. I can be looking on my phone, but I'm listening to you, and I'm repeating everything you're saying. Can I multitask and listen to you? That's not really listening. Listening requires your full attention. Very rarely do we listen to people, and very rarely are we listened to. Listening is not, partially listening. I'm listening to you, but I'm thinking about my response. Can I listen to you and think about my response? What does listening to you have to do with me? What? Can I understand what you are saying before I fully listen to you? Listening, understanding comes as a result of listening. You can't understand before you listen. You got to listen to understand. Most people are thinking while people are talking to them. They're triggered. Somebody say something to them, they go into their own memory. They're like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened to me. Does listening, telling you my autobiography mean I'm listening to you? I'm telling you when that happened to me. Is that listening to you? Listening don't require you to think at all about what the person is saying. Just be fully present for it. Maybe give them a little bit of feedback that you're hearing them. But it don't require you to go into your own experience. Just means you're giving them your presence. It happens very rarely because our attention is hard to keep on the person that's talking. It's hard to just be listening because just like in regular life, when we listen to somebody, our attention is attacked by our thoughts. I'm thinking about what the person is saying. By our feeling, I'm triggered emotionally by what the person is saying. By our memories, this person reminded me of something. And the minute I get triggered and my attention goes there, where am I not? Not present listening. So I shared that to get into a conversation about our attention. And I can't go fully into the conversation, but I want to transition this conversation. I'm going to stay here for a minute, so I'm going to take this. I want to transition this conversation about our attention into some inspiration I had when I listened to Reverend Mary's sermon last week on Let Go and Let God. She talked about a figure in Black history. Who did she talk about last week? George Washington Carver. And so although I had my presentation ready, after I heard that, I said, oh, wow. Who can I bring from Black history that can contribute to this conversation about how important our attention is, how important our attention is, and our ability to collect our attention and control our attention and share our attention with other people in a way that we bring forth the presence of God. Who in Black history could I bring out? And today, the opening that Reverend Mary, she gives a quote from him. Talk about kindred spirits. So the person I settle on is Howard Thurman. So y'all must already talked about Howard Thurman. Awesome. That even makes it even better, okay? Because what did Howard Thurman say about our attention? He talked about our attention. Matter of fact, his seminal work is called Jesus and the Disinherited. And if we want to have a conversation about Black history, Howard Thurman was considered the spiritual teacher of the civil rights movement. He was the one there that guided Martin Luther King. Matter of fact, he went to India and met with Gandhi before King did. He was the one who brought this idea about the nonviolence in the civil rights movement. He was the one who brought that conversation forth. Because the word we use for nonviolence is not the word the word we use for nonviolence don't actually capture what is being said. Anybody know what the word nonviolence is in Sanskrit? The word that Gandhi was using was not about not being violent. The word Gandhi was using was called satyagraha. It's a word in Sanskrit, and it means truth force. It means soul force. And it was the power of the truth to overcome anything coming at you from the outside. And Howard Thurman understood that. Howard Thurman understood that if we understood, and the reason why this was so important in Black history was because we were dealing in a society that was oppressing people. And the question was, can Christianity? We got white people who are now calling themselves Christian who are having Ku Klux Klan services in the church. How do you reconcile that? Howard Thurman was challenged with an explanation on how we reconcile Christianity, how we reconcile this practice with what was going on in society. Because some people were saying, no, that don't work. You can't use that because people use that to oppress us. And Howard Thurman said, no, you got to look deeper into the life of Jesus. And he talked about Jesus and the disinherited. This poor Jewish boy who was oppressed by the Roman society around him. And that's where Jesus emerges from. He helped African Americans understand that Jesus' experience was our experience. And that we had a responsibility to confront what was going on with us. And he used our faith to do it. It was a powerful, I don't got time to go into all of what Howard Thurman did, but what I wanted to do is point you in that direction so you can go look at what he offered to the conversation. Because he did three things that I'm going to highlight that has a lot to do with our attention, that has value even today, right? So Howard Thurman was one of the first people. He became the pastor of a church called the Church for All People in San Francisco, 1944. One of the first churches to be multiracial and multi-religious, meaning that even though it was a Christian focus, all religions was allowed. All races was allowed. 1944 America. He was also one of the first people to heavily integrate silence into the service. Intentionally integrating silence into the service. Why would you integrate silence into the service? He was connecting people to a realm beyond our thought and our feelings. He was connecting people to the presence of God. Some people described him as a mystic. They described him as a mystic because he believed that you had to experience this thing. This ain't something you just read. This ain't something you just study. You had to contemplate it and experience it in your own life. And so he also integrated the arts into the service. He said you could dance as an expression of God. You can sing as an expression of God. Now, them things were not popular. That's not how the services in most churches went. But he understood something. He talked about, in childhood, his best friend being an oak tree. That he could talk to the oak tree. The energy of it. The same way George Washington Carver said he could do what? He said it's an energetic exchange. All communication ain't done with words. Some communication is done beyond the realm of what you can think about, what your mind can process. You experience the presence. And so Howard Thurman captures perfectly what I want to communicate today. And I want to bring this to an end by talking about ultimately what Howard Thurman was pointing us to, ultimately what we are collectively working towards as a group is centering our attention on God all the time. Centering our attention on God when we're talking to somebody. We're talking to the God in them. Centering our attention on God when we're listening to somebody. We're listening to God in them. Centering our attention on the presence of God all the time. God is always present. You don't got to go through a process to connect to the presence of God. All you got to do is acknowledge that God is present. God is all powerful. This is what Howard Thurman challenged the civil rights movement to do. He said, you can't fear this whole idea of white supremacy. White supremacy is not stronger than God. Matter of fact, he said white supremacy is not even real. He said race is a social construct. No, it got nothing to do with reality. This is a social construct people make up and impose. And guess what? It's not stronger than the presence of God. So you ain't got to fear it. You ain't got to worry about it. You ain't even got to acknowledge it. You have to confront it with what? Truth, love, the presence of God. And so in 1944 America, he didn't talk about it. He did it to demonstrate it. Look at some other people that came across to potentially consider was a Paul Robeson, who, because of his practice of his craft, he understood the power of God. A Marian Anderson, who traveled the world because she didn't buy into the character people wrote for her as a black woman. The practice of her craft gave her a connection to the presence of the true and living God. And when we connect to our presence, we don't fall down into the limitations that people pull on us. We rise to who God and how God expresses himself in us. So I want us to encourage us all, if we can, to collect our attention, to take the risk to be in the moment. As a matter of fact, we're getting ready to do that right now. As I end this sermon, and we're going to go into this place where if we can collect our attention and experience the presence of God and try to hold on to that experience while we're talking to somebody, while we're listening to somebody, while we're being with other people in the world. Because one of the main points Howard Thurman made is some people, the only Jesus they may ever see is you. The only experience of Christ they may have is you. The only experience of the presence of God that they may have is you. We have to be the difference makers in this world. Like the song we sang at the beginning. You know what the world is going to be? Anybody know what the world is going to be like 1 year from now? I know exactly what the world is going to be like 1 year from now. It's going to be what the people who make it, the people who live in it, make it. If we bring forth the presence of God, that's the strongest force in the universe. It's stronger than everything else you know forth. If we collectively do that, the world will reflect the presence of God. The work of unity points us in that direction. If we can all take that mission and live it, the world will be a better place a year from now. Let's make it be that. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Brother Sam. That was, you just beautifully wove together everything, and wow, great. So let's take these words now into our practice of meditation, and Kevin's going to lead us in singing In the Stillness. And we'll, wow.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace.
In the
Stillness of this moment, there is peace.
In the
Stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace, and I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is love. Sweet love.
Thank you, Kevin. And so let us take a few moments to just be in the stillness of this moment. To just take a deep breath, and with each inhale and with each exhale, we bring ourselves more fully into this present moment. And then any thoughts that come up, we just bless them and release them and let them go. And return to the stillness of this moment. And when we find that we can just give ourselves the gift of a moment in the stillness, we often find that we know things we didn't know that we knew, that we access our inner wisdom and guidance. So I invite you to take a few deep breaths and feel the power of the stillness that is always available to you, that you carry with you into your experiences, into our conversations, into our opportunities to listen and be present. And all is well. We can affirm that together. All is well. all is well with my soul. And so from this place, we will invite Mary Jo to come forward as our prayer chaplain for today, to bless the prayers on our hearts, spoken or unspoken, prayers that have been placed in our prayer box, prayers that have been called in, written in, texted in, and especially those who may feel as though they have no one to pray for them. Today we're especially including Julie Mizzagades and Joyce Gaius in our prayers for health and wholeness, well-being.
Let's close our eyes and put our hands over our hearts. And as we breathe in that unshakable peace and exhale anything that needs to be released. And we pray and trust, Father, Mother, God. I know you're always with me and with all of my life.
Make this part of the meditation.
One power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door, whatever name